Let's move over to the NDP party. I'll read that again because it's been a minute.
Yeah, bring that up again.
Let me just... here we go. So the NDP position is they promise to accelerate infrastructure projects to keep jobs. I have a bit to say about this, but I want your take first.
I have no idea what that is. I mean, promise to accelerate infrastructure projects to keep jobs. That just seems like, okay, well, we're going to spend money on wastewater infrastructure near housing projects. Like it's the exact same thing, except for way more vague. Like I'm just not sure what they're getting at. Of course they want to do that. Of course they want to keep more infrastructure projects in the pipeline and they want people to have jobs. Great. Congratulations.
What I'm noticing here, and I like this actually, from the NDP, is to finally carve out their own identity. And I don't think that they've done a good job of it. I think that up to like very recently, their identity has been, we are going to be the party that spends. We are going to, it's going to be healthcare, it's going to be education, both things that I strongly, strongly believe in investing in. But it seems like they're an expensive party. Right. When you campaign for 8 years, 10 years on spending money, that's frightening if you're a taxpayer that's already half of your income goes to the government. Right. So to switch to a employment first, jobs first. And I've seen it in a couple of their other campaigns. Right. And I'm like, oh, now it seems like it's a sort of put Canada first perspective. Let's get everybody employed in a conservative sense. Like, conservative people typically believe we have to look after ourselves first. And so, they're not going to pull from a true blue conservative over to the Orange Party, but to say like, we're going to focus on keeping people employed, that's a way better message than we are going to focus on spending money.
Yeah, but should they be operating there? Like, that's wide open green space for them. Like, considering like the PCs on one side who are more business focused, the Liberals in the middle, like the NDP, if they're all the way on the left, like, I mean, that seems like where Labor should be, but that Labor kind of gets eaten up by the right now, it seems like. So I think like if you're going to be operating in that space, you should have a labor friendly platform. And I love it. Like maybe they should be doing like, I would love to hear that idea fleshed out a little bit more of, okay, what does that mean? How does this support labor? How does this, infrastructure jobs? Okay, maybe the source that we're reading here is not doing them justice on what the platform actually is. But what does that mean for labor? And I can get behind that idea.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just a change in branding for the NDP party, and I'm sure that this is labor is a big part of who they are. I mean, they're very, very pro-union. I don't know that labor has to be necessarily designated as union or not union, but to be pro-labor, I mean, if we want to collect more taxes, have more people working, have more people with decent paying jobs. The government's taking half of it anyway. The more that we can employ outside of the public sector, the better. So pro-labor, I like it. You're right. I don't think that there's enough there to win an election. I don't think that there's enough there to really understand what their goals would be. But in general, I think it's a better message than we're going to spend all your money. So I would say
that's their housing platform, though, is like infrastructure, spending on infrastructure. That's the housing platform. Like, I just want to know more about
are we talking about?
I don't want to cut you off. What's your grade on this? Like, maybe you give me that.
Yeah, I would give it a general C. No plus, no minus.
Yeah, I'm incomplete on this. I think this is a D. I don't think that there's enough detail here for me to give it a grade, whereas the other two parties gave us, here's what their ideas are, and I think there's enough for us to get a sense of what the direction is. I think we're inferring on what the NDP is getting at because there's just not enough detail, at least in this statement.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a fledgling. It's like the beginning. It looks to me like the beginning of a rebrand or something like that. They're maybe not in a position where they think that they can win an election, but maybe they can turn things around in a few years. They've certainly had some like leadership problems as well in that
I
party.
have no
But
idea who the leader is.
Nationally, I know.
Yeah,
I haven't.
exactly. Yeah, nationally I know, but I don't federally for sure. But I'm not sure who the Ontario one is.
Yeah, I think it's
Ugh.
changed hands a little bit, and they
Yeah,
had some scandal there, so they're ready. They're probably in a rebuild. Let's call it.
yeah,
You know, if it
rebuild
was a
situation.
sports franchise, they're in a rebuild, which is good. Let's you know,
I'm here for a sports franchise analogy. I love it.
there's some room in the middle and now I think that both parties are actually starting to move back into the middle a little bit. You know, we've had a very sort of divided maybe 8 years or whatever politically, where
Yeah.
historically Canada's been center right, center left. It seems to have moved a little bit more drastic right, drastic left. Seems to be also now moving a little bit back into the middle, so that gap that they could jump into might be closing. So they're going to have to move quick.